What is up, my beautiful gemstones? Welcome to Tuesday's afternoon talk with myself, Ghostdragonzw, and Sir Ryan Paul Tremblay. So I see two people in here right now, Nutslap and Latro. What is up, guys? Just my wrenches. Please just be on point today, because I got these animal people that are like really mad at me for saying that I believed like an animal was ugly. I think I said it looked mangy or something, and now they're like attacking my comment section and becoming very aggressive with me in my comments for like leaving comments in like these animal videos, these really horrible animal videos that keep popping up like the shorts in my feed for no reason, because I don't search for them. And I'm just like, oh, you know, they're coming at me basically because I was like, I wouldn't keep an animal if, you know, it bit the hand that feeds it. Really nothing more than that. And I also said that I don't believe that you should have an animal in your house if it's attacking your small children. Well, apparently, guys, I caused some waves because they have been just relentless on me. So just in case they decide to pop in, be aware of it. Mark Hall said, Miss Pixie, what is up? I actually had some dude, and if I had the money, I would have definitely given it to him. He was from like this little animal group, and they actually cash apped me. They asked me, like, they requested money through my Cash App for me being an a-hole in the comments section of the animal videos. And I was like, well, all right. Good, reasonable time of the day to you all. Yes, slow motion. What is up? I just saw your comment about, you know, your insomnia getting the better of you sometimes. So I was pretty lazy today. I didn't do much. So Gone Mysterious Disappearances is not just #1. It has now become a #1 bestseller and is available on Audible. If any of y'all are looking for that, the mistake in the first chapter, the giant mistake that was the first chapter, is fixed. So, and it has been since, I believe, Saturday morning. So that is definitely good and a relief, a big weight off my shoulders. So let me bring the guys in, because I did not go pee before I jumped on here, and now I have to go. Thank you, guys. Well, it's all because of y'all supporting me. So what do you call a couple of average ghosts paranormals? I can't. Yeah, you guys, too early for this crap. I'll be right back, guys.
What's going on, Ghost? How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. How's everybody doing out in the chat land? I'm good. Been a busy morning. How are you?
Oh, my allergies are beating my butt today, man. They're holding me prisoner. I don't like it.
Man, I'm telling you. It got real muggy here yesterday. And I went outside to do some stuff. We're having some issues. It's like the house decided to fall apart after a fire. So anyways, I come in and I must have sneezed for like 2 hours. It just would not stop.
I feel you. 100%. I'm the same way today. And I don't like it. I don't approve.
No, and I've taken, you know, you can only take so much before it doesn't do any good. So
pretty
yeah.
much.
Hey Roger, how you doing? So yeah, hanging in there now. When I get done here, I got to go right back to work. I took a shower and I'm like, Dad, why did I even bother? Huh?
It's nap time for me after the show. If Duke will let me. I mean, he already took over the bed, as you can see.
Yeah, I see it. Do you have a stream tonight?
Not tonight, but I do have one tomorrow night with D.A. Roberts.
Okay. Now, I thought it was last Wednesday when you had one.
Yeah, you know what? I was supposed to do a show with him last Wednesday. We were supposed to talk about the skinwalkers and everything. But you know what happened? It's kind of creepy, Ghost. I was looking over all my notes on the Wendigo and the skinwalkers. My computer,
story.
Yeah, my computer blacked out. It would not turn back on. I left it plugged in. I let it charge for about 3 hours. Wouldn't turn back on at all. So I went to bed, and about 3:30 in the morning or so, the computer just pops right back on. And what was creepy is it was on YouTube.
Was it on Wendigo?
No, it was playing Voodoo by Godsmack, and I'm like, what just happened here?
Oh,
I must have
you delved into something. You delved into something you shouldn't have.
Well, it's kind of like welcome to our world, right? For the longest time, actually, until I wrote the book about the BEK, there was anyone I didn't say hi to. What's up, guys? For a long time, anytime we'd mention the BEK in a live stream, whether it's on this stream, whether the chat was talking about it and I didn't even know, or I was a guest on somebody else's show, the show would break down. Somebody would go off the stream, the Wi-Fi would go out, my lights would blink on and off. And in a recent video, maybe from like 3 months ago, I was talking about the BEK and my lights all just went off randomly.
Whoa.
Everything in the house was fine. My son's bedroom, my closet was right there. I had the lights on there just to try to brighten the room up a little bit. And the only thing that went off was the overhead light right above me and my pro lights. Everything else stayed on. It was so weird. I left it in the video so you guys could see what I deal with going through all of this information.
That's crazy.
This coming Monday, I'm going to be talking about these so-called butterfly people, which I mentioned 2 weeks ago. I've been talking about it a little bit, but here's my thing. I cannot find anything on these butterfly people except for the Joplin, Missouri tornado.
Same here. I had the same problem.
So I'm wondering if
pull up angels.
I mean, they've got to be something else.
Somebody's story of angels.
Definitely, there has to be something there.
Yeah, I don't think that's what I was thinking. Like, maybe that's just how they were kind of showing themselves to the little kids, because a lot of the adults did not see butterfly people. The adults that saw things saw shrouded adults, or they saw, like in the case of, people stuck in the basement of the church, 6 or 3. It was 3 massive, like giant bodybuilding type dudes just walked randomly in. Nobody from this tiny town had ever seen them before. They weren't congregants, and they lifted the debris and said, "We have others to help," and just left. So between the way they appeared differently from the children and the adults, a lot of the adults said they just saw random strangers shrouded, with hoods walking through the town that day. Maybe it was something else that just kind of presented what the children could understand, because the children that saw them were mainly very young, like 6 and under young.
So they had no theological practice at all. They weren't really like, super devoted to religion in any way. So, which is probably why Angel didn't come up, because it is a religious community. They were talking about that. That's like, if there's if there is a Bible belt, Joplin's the buckle. Like that's basically what they were saying. I'm not good with geography, but I believe that because I heard a lot of people say it.
Yeah. It's the Bible belt right there on the Bible belt.
Yep, it sure is.
Here you go. I got this, and I want to say, Aunt Edna's baby and Aunt Edna were born with black eyes.
But like the whole eye black.
Yeah. It's not uncommon. I just saw a picture of her newest little grandchild, and it has black eyes.
The whole eye.
Yeah.
The whole eye black, really?
Too?
Yeah, and they grow up and they change. Edna's, I think, said she turned baby blue. And then they got darker as she got older. So it's rare, but not uncommon. But it is creepy.
Yeah.
What age did Aunt Edna say that she?
When she was a baby. She
grew out of it.
And then she grew out of it.
When? What age did she say?
I don't know. You'll have to ask her. She didn't say when it started to change.
Because I'm thinking about the BEK, that's even more of a reason why that can't be it, because the BEK are as young as 2 to like 17 years old.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, the one I know I see is at least 12, 13 years old. At least. In the hospitals. But that's a whole different story.
Very strange.
Oh, it's slow motion. Yeah, it was. And
they're so what happened in Joplin, from what I could understand from my video, and I did have to look further into it and kind of leave the video like, okay, I'm going to look more into this and do a part 2, because you think butterfly, like I was thinking the Fae, and then I'm like, the Fae don't normally, there are some, okay, so don't come for me in the comments, but they're normally they're not stepping in to help the human race in this way.
Not normally, no, it's not typical.
Not in this major, you know what I mean? It's like not their business. They kind of don't care enough about us. But and I talked about that a lot in my first book, Missing the Faith Theory. But the one thing I was thinking is that this was something that happens because of the enemy or the evil soulless people, like that collective of people. Something happened there. The guy Ray from the Pyramid Code videos, I don't know if any of y'all watch that. It's on Unified TV. You should definitely check it out. They do a 3-day free trial. It's called the Pyramid Code. But he was talking about how these psychopaths are in control of like a lot of what goes on in like government politics, and they have these supernatural abilities, which really are the abilities that we all have and we're all born with, but we're kind of talked out of. So I was thinking, is this tragedy? Because what is it called? An EF5? I think it's called an EF5 tornado.
Yes.
Yep.
Was it something where angelic beings, whatever religion you are, whatever you would attribute angelic beings to, right? Something from the heavens, from the skies, something interdimensional, perhaps. I believe in actual angels, but whatever y'all believe in, that had to swiftly jump into action. And that's why not everyone could be saved.
Right.
Was it something that was part of the lower vibrational evil collective consciousness, not the bright light one that we're all kind of contributing to, whether we realize it or not, that caused this, that whoever or whatever's in charge was like, whoa, and had to like very quickly jump into action. We know, most of us in this community, that angels are not, you know, I always say it whenever, if you read the Bible, you know that every time an angel approaches a human, the very first thing they say is, do not be alarmed, do not be afraid, do not be frightened.
Right.
They look almost like a demon would look. They're very terrifying in their actual visage. So that was like the only thing I could really come up with was like, were they caught by surprise by whatever this was and just saved whoever they could?
That's a valid theory.
There's a story out there right now. I ran across an article. Then somebody actually did a small short on it. During the Nashville shooting at the school, the person that did the deed walked by a playground full of children, didn't even see them. They could have opened fire right there, but they didn't, because apparently they didn't see him. So they literally walked by 2 kindergarten classes out on the playground. And the funny thing is, after it was all said and done and those kids went home, they all was telling their parents, there was a gold dome around us. All the kids said the same thing, that there was like a gold dome all around them. And this guy goes, was it an angelic thing that happened there? That saved those children?
There are stories like that. I mean, I actually know someone personally who, you guys know, I don't have like the best past, at least for like 6 years of it there. In my 30s were not so good. And I hung out with dangerous people. I don't consider them dangerous, but a lot of people would. They dealt and sold illicit substances. So the one guy that I was always go to, I became very close with him. He was in my house all day long, every day. You know, I'd have nothing to do. I'd talk to him. And he was telling me this story about how like it was I think it was his brother who also did the same thing as he did. Suddenly one day just like became a preacher and like gave everything up, donated like all of his worldly possessions and like didn't want any of the money. Like he just like this. And I remember saying to him, did you ask him? Yeah. Did you ask him about that? And here's what he said happened. His brother had men with guns whom he owed money to, that he had stolen some product from, that he thought he had gotten away with it. But a few months later, men with guns ran up into his house. He managed to get his wife and his 2 very small kids out of the house where there were more men. He kind of hid them in like a bush, not knowing what to do. And he ran back upstairs as everyone from the outside ran in. So his wife and the kids were able to drive away while these men came upstairs. And he said he was thinking, if I leave this room, I'm going to be killed. So he heard a voice that said, if you believe in me, you leave this room. You have no fear. And he was like, all right, then if I leave this room and I don't get killed, God, I'm giving my life to you, whatever. He leaves the room. He has no gun. I don't know why this dude didn't have weapons. Maybe they just were in that room with him where he can get to them. He went down and they were pointing the guns at him. And all of a sudden, the guy, first of all, he pulls the trigger once, it sticks or gets stuck. The second time, he goes to pull the trigger, and he looks terrified. He's looking at something behind the guy who's now on his knees begging for his life. And him and like the 5 other guys with him just turn and run out the house. They were yelling, La Luna, La Luna. I don't know Spanish, but like the light, in Spanish. And when one of the men who had ran up in the house actually gave his life to God as well within like a week of this whole incident. And when they finally got to talking, he said to him, "Why did you guys not kill me that day? Like, why did you convert your life?" And he said, "Dude, when we looked behind you and we all saw it, there was the biggest, most giant mother effer behind you, bathed in a golden light, but it was like the form of like a shadow with no features. And we just all got the feeling that should we stay there and mess with you anymore, we were going to die." All of the guys with the guns felt that same thing. They were talking about it on their way out. They didn't even get into their car. They just ran like away from his home. They wanted nothing to do with it. Yeah. So I remember at that time I was not religious and I did not have a belief or a religious system. I didn't become born again until 2016. This was probably like 2014. I was hearing this story. And I remember even then I was like, wow, that's crazy. Like that. I remember thinking to myself, something like that happening to me will get me to like turn my life around.
Oh yeah.
But maybe it's something like that where like, I definitely believe in angelic protection. And again, I use the word angel because that's what I believe in, but I'm sure you guys have, even if you don't believe in actual angels of God, you got to believe in some kind of protection, I would assume, whether it be interdimensional, extraterrestrial, like whatever, I'm not trying to be offensive, but something happened here. There's a YouTuber that died in that tornado. His sister was telling the story. I don't remember what his name was, but she was sitting in his room and she was telling the story about what happened to him. And there was nothing about the butterfly people, but what she did say is that when they finally found the father, who was in the car with the son, with her brother, he said that all of a sudden, as his son was right before he was sucked out of the vehicle, the Hummer, I think it was a Hummer, he started quoting all this scripture, and they knew scripture from going to church. They were a religious family, but it was verses that you don't normally like recite in times like that. It wasn't like the Lord's Prayer. They weren't really protective prayers. The father said he got the sense that something was talking to him through his son saying, "I'm taking him. He's all right." And as soon as that thought dawned on the father, the son was gone through the roof.
Whoa, that's intense.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of very strange stuff happened that day. And in trying to get to the bottom of it, though, I did find that the butterfly people is a Joplin thing. So I feel like this has to be something else that just... Yes, he had just gotten it. He actually graduated high school that day, man. The day of the tornado. He was driving back from graduation to his graduation party at his house. What she also said happened that was weird. She said if you stayed inside every time there was a tornado watch in Joplin, you would never leave your house. There's tornado watches from morning all the way to night. She said, and if there's a tornado warning, that's when you kind of think about taking shelter, but you still don't get up in arms because it's a constant thing. She said there was a watch. The alarms went off for between a watch and a warning. So it wasn't quite a warning, but it's like, hey, the conditions are right for these clouds to form. She said, but they were at the graduation. Nobody really thought about it, but the wind started picking up a little bit and they were like, you know what, let's just go home. Let's go to the party. So the father and the brother, his name was Will, I believe, got into Will's Hummer. And the daughter and I believe her pregnant sister and the mother got into the other car. She was driving. She went to stop at a red light, and all of a sudden she just was like compelled to slam on the gas. She didn't realize. She said, "I didn't even know what I was doing. I'm driving my mother's car. I only had my permit." She's like, "And I just ran a red light in my mother's car. I don't know why I did it." My mom's kind of like, "Why did you do that?" They get to their house. She couldn't explain why she did it. She just knew that she needed to run that red light. They get to the house. They open the garage door. They get the car inside. As they're going in, the garage door won't close. the woman who was setting up the party at the house for when the kid came back to graduate, I don't know if she only had her permit. That might be wrong. But anyway, she was a safe driver. She's not running red lights in her mother's vehicle, of all things. So anyway, she goes, oh my gosh, you guys, how did you get the garage open? The power's been out for like 20 minutes. She said it flicked on for about 20 seconds and flicked back off. She said, you guys just happened to be able to get through in the garage and not get stuck outside in that like 10 to 20 second time frame of, you know, the lights flickering back on for a minute. So the daughter calls the father. He's talking to him. All of a sudden, she hears the brother scream. They're a few blocks away. And she said it all just happened so fast. And it took a really long time for them to find her brother. They were going to hospitals all over the place. There was a little boy that was at the hospital, maybe, I think, seeking shelter when the tornado touched down, destroyed, leveled the hospital, killed so many people. This boy was 4 years old. So this is younger than my son. He might have been younger than that, but I think 4. And he was found 6 miles away, just standing in a field, completely unharmed. Just standing there.
Oh, okay. That's crazy. That's insane.
Yeah. I'm going to let you guys definitely comment on this. So when the rescuers finally found this little boy, they're like, how did you get here? And he's like, the butterfly people, the butterfly man or something, told me to stay here until somebody finds me.
Wow. Jesus. Wow, that's creepy. That kind of gives me the chills a little bit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Nuts, yes. Not technically the PETA people, but just people in the comments that don't like my version of sarcasm. I was really mean, but I figured they know I was kidding. But,
that's why I don't comment on videos, man. Don't comment on YouTube videos.
I'm done. I have like 5 other accounts where I could go in, where I don't go under Gemma Jade, because I know if I say something offensive, they're going to attack my channel. And sometimes I don't agree with everything that goes on, especially the political channels. But I really didn't think I was saying anything really that wrong. I was just stating my opinion. And even before I said some of it was like, look, I'm not trying to be offensive, but you have what is it called? Those big giant cats, they're called carabas.
Yeah.
I was so this guy, the only videos he puts up, the only videos that he has one of these in his house with his other cats and his kids, and all it ever does is hiss and growl at him. That's all these videos are of. And I'm like, I've requested that this not be in my feed 1,000 times. I'm like, listen, take this thing, file its teeth down and declaw it. Obviously, I didn't, you know, like, I don't obviously think that this man should do that. I was just saying, like, that'll shut it up, you know? And I was kind of, I don't know. I guess I don't take comments that seriously. So if I see a comment I don't agree with, I just move on. But then you forget that this is like the internet. So anyway, I don't want to get sidetracked, because I do want to hear what you guys, what do you think about, I mean, just those stories. And that's just like 2 out of the dozens or so I went through. And Joplin does not like this being attached to their town. They do not want this reputation, most of them, as this.
That's funny, isn't it, though? It's like, it's the opposite of the Mothman. You have all these people that say the Mothman's this harbinger of doom and he caused a bridge collapse, and Point Pleasant is like, yay, Mothman. And then you have something positive with these butterfly people, and Joplin's like, no, take it away. It's so weird.
A lot of that too in Joplin is because it is on the Bible Belt, and
I was going to say, I think it's a religious thing.
Yeah, they don't like.
Because I know, like in New Jersey, they're like
to their religion. I mean, if there was like an angelic thing that gives credence to your Bible and everything like that, why would you be mad about it? That doesn't make any sense.
Of course,
I think it's because
boast your glory.
Well, I don't think it's that. I mean, it could be, but I just think it's like, they still aren't sure what they saw, because again, nobody was saying angels. They were saying butterfly people, which sounds, a lot of people were saying it was the Fae, which the Catholic Church used to actually work hand in hand with the Fae in like the 1300s. It was part of the religion until like, you know, the witch trials, all that time was when they moved the Fae into like the demonic category and no longer connected it with the Christian or Catholic religion. So once people started hearing the Fae, I think is what kind of put them off a little bit. But I know that in New Jersey, like, we're super proud that like we have a state demon.
Right. Right.
We're like, yeah, the Jersey Devil. Yes. Don't mess with us. Yeah, it's crazy. I always think to myself, like, I'm not wishing something like that would happen to me. I would never wish that on anyone or like want to go through that. But man, if I could just have one experience, and I'm not talking about with the dead that are around me all the time. I'm talking about with something like I want to meet Jesus. And I'm sure if I did, I'll tell you what, I would get my poop together way faster. But it's like you have to have an NDE for that. And I'm not sure I want to go through all that. But it's like I get like a little bit, I don't want to say jealous because I'm not jealous of the tragedy and I understand it's a tragedy. I just mean of the interaction, of the absolute fact of this happening in your face. And people say that to me about me being a medium. Oh, I wish. You don't. Trust me, you don't, because there's never a moment of peace. You just learn to deal with the fact that there are several whatevers around all the time, whether it's scary or not, and you try to deal with it.
You talked about meeting Jesus, though. I had this conversation with my friend. He asked me how I picture Jesus. I picture him as a Big Lebowski. Like he'd be sitting there stirring his coffee, looking at me going, huh?
Yeah.
That's how I picture him.
He didn't, he definitely wasn't the blonde-haired, blue-eyed. That's a whole other conversation.
Don't ever mention that in public. Don't ever say that in public, man. You'll get people.
Oh, I know. And that's why I don't do religion on this channel, because there are things that I know for an absolute certainty because of the guides I can talk to and communicate with, because of I know certain things for a fact, but I cannot possibly say them because I can't prove it. I can't be like, yo, come sit over here and just show yourself to everybody in the YouTube community. Like, it just doesn't work that way. Even if they did, even when I do have them right here, y'all can't see them because you can't, you don't see them. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, you got to be real careful with that. I want it so badly to find something else about butterfly people, like throughout history. So what I'm going to do is try to look a little deeper into, like, maybe, way long ago where there was just like the written word.
You know what you should look into? Frank Frazetta made a painting of the Mothman, right? But if you look at his painting, it's more like a butterfly person. It's got colors to the wing and it's very shiny.
Really?
So I collect his artwork. Yeah, I collect his artwork. Yeah.
I was wondering if too, and then I have something else I want to talk to you guys about, but I was wondering too if there were a lot of accounts, or if there were at least some, but this thing happened in Joplin on May 22nd, 2011. So did this overshadow any other articles there might have been? Do I need to look on the 100th page instead of the 10th page?
Probably. That would be a very
how,
good idea.
When you do a Google search, it'll say there are 2 million pages and you have to go like page by page.
All the way to the bottom of the list.
Usually it's like the further you get, the least good the information is, right? The least factual. But I'm wondering, did the experience in Joplin kind of take over the thing for this? Is that the reason? Because it's so recent.
Could be.
It's only
it definitely could be. So yeah.
Mothman prophecies last night. Oh, thank you, Miss Lotus Girl. This is one of the ones from Miss Pixie. I also covered for Monday. So we are talking about the butterfly people, and I did some encounters with angels at the end because there's only so much I could have talked about Joplin. I would have had to end the video early. So I did kind of go off on some weird tangent at the end about angels and demons, but encounters, not like thoughts and opinions.
Right.
But I covered the second video is about the Dark Watchers of California.
Ooh.
You ever heard of them?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Really?
Absolutely.
Can you tell me a little bit about what you know about them? Because I just came across them researching for the butterfly people.
All right, so we don't really know even what they are. I mean, there's so many different theories. There's people saying that they're demonic. There's people saying that they're angelic. Some people say they're alien. Some people say they're interdimensional. I've never seen one. I don't live out in California, so I can't go look for it. But I don't know. I mean, I'm open to whatever it could be. I'd want to talk to somebody that has actually seen them numerous times, not just one time, and maybe talk to them more in depth and see what they think it is.
Yeah, the impression that I got is they're shadow people. Now, I wrote a book about shadow people as well, shadow entities. And I did talk about the observer that I've noticed there, there's not just one sort of shadow entity. So these to me were like the Hat Man without the eyes, the glowing eyes, but also as like the observer. These are the shadow entities that we'll see like in the corner, and like we can tell we're being stared at, but there's never any interaction or movement taken towards us. They don't bother us. They disappear basically as soon as they're noticed there.
Right. That's why I wonder, why do they call them demonic though? I mean, what makes them demonic? Is it just the way they look? Do they do something? I don't think we can categorize everything as demonic.
I'm going to
believe all
interject
shadow
here.
entities are demonic.
I'm going to interject here. California is one of the highest populated cult areas in the country. You figured that it's a known fact that most of Hollywood practices some kind of occult magic. A lot of believe that these watchers come from that they are demonic, and that they oversee the kind of the evil of California. Now, this is only a theory that I've heard a long time ago. And this has been going on for a while. These things have been seen for a while. They're often also seen around Hollywood and around some of the music studios. So you got to kind of think about it that way too. That was just a theory I'd heard, and I kind of, it kind of makes sense.
It does. I just finished up American Horror Story, the Delicate season, which actually was about a coven of witches that kind of runs Hollywood. And that's what this season was about. I just finished it this morning. And some people did think that, and that's where my mind went a little bit too. They've never attacked, but people that have noticed them and have seen them vanish have felt followed, stalked, watched for the rest of their time in the forest, and sometimes out of it. I do believe California, especially with the, Hollywood, with the music industry, the movie industry, I do think there is a lot of demonic cult activity there. And I've said this so many times. I don't think shadow beings just in and of themselves are demonic, right? Hold that thought, slow motion. So I'm wondering, like, there are things that happen all the time around us because of stuff that's happened centuries ago, right? So we're wondering, like, how do portals get opened? Well, people open them, kids playing with Ouija boards that don't know what they're doing, that think it's a fun time at a sleepover. They could potentially open a portal. People going out into the woods to ghost hunt could potentially open a portal. And imagine all of the people that have done this since the dawn of humanity. We're poops hitting the fan now because this has been thousands of years or more of people, depending what you believe, of people being careless with the occult and being careless with magic, and sometimes being downright into it, purposefully going to unleash evil. And I'm wondering, like I said, with Joplin,
it's really about intent with magic. So
oh, absolutely. And that's the thing, I believe that it could be something to do with everything that is going on in Hollywood. 100% that's going on, whether people believe it or not. Yeah, it could definitely be dark. But my thing is, I didn't have enough information. I think I even say this in the video, like, I don't know what happened to these people once they got home. Did they feel terribly unlucky? Did they get into car crashes? Like, none of that was put in the information that I had. And I feel like it would have been, at least in some of the cases. I don't know how this affected them going forward. I can only present what the facts are.
My take on that, though, my whole take on that, like feeling watched and followed after you see something like that, it doesn't really warrant demonic in my case, because, like,
it's not at all.
I had that Dogman encounter, and I felt like I was being watched for weeks too. Was it a demonic thing? No, it's because I was kind of paranoid, because after I saw something that I didn't know how to explain, my brain wouldn't shut off. So, you automatically think, oh, it's evil, it's out to get me, but it's really not.
I don't know that I think the Dark Watchers, like I said, shadow people in and of themselves, definitely not always evil across the board.
Right.
And the Dark Watchers, I mean, something evil is going to attach itself to your energy. Something evil is going to, in some way, attack you, whether it's psychically, physically. People just see them and they're gone. I mean,
exactly.
So to me, that's more of like an observer. But what is it observing and why? Who knows,
We
Slow
may never
motion
know
wants
with
to
that
know.
one.
Yeah, and I don't think we ever will, but it's kind of fun to talk about. How do you explain demonic to an agnostic believer in the paranormal like me? I have a hard time with that because I've had because of what I've grown up seeing my whole life. I don't know how to explain things like that. To me, it's just like it's obvious, but I know it's not. Do you know what I mean?
If you believe in good, and there's got to be bad. If you believe in, if there's good, there's evil. So you look at it that way. It's about the only way I can explain it.
That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it is really the only way you can explain it, because you can't. Well, you can, but it's only balance to have good and evil. You got to have a balance. That's what it's all about.
If you acknowledge one, you have to acknowledge the other.
So that'd be the only way. So there's good forces, so there has to be bad forces.
Right. 100%. That's what I would say.
Slow motion. I know that. I know you weren't. My thing is, I always get very nervous when people ask me things like that, because I don't know. Could you imagine, you see things like that every day? I'm 41 years old. I've seen things like this every day, to the point where I almost don't even notice it anymore. So I don't know how to explain it, because to me it's well, it's effing there. What do you want me to what do you want me to say? I don't know,
It's complicated. It's very complicated.
And it's very nuanced.
Absolutely.
Batmom, no, I did think for, when I was very young, I thought I didn't understand, because my parents would be told that I'm talking to myself in the corner. And that didn't make sense to me, because I was at school, I was playing with other kids, but I wasn't. I was playing with spirits. But I didn't know. To me, they looked like little kids, and I didn't know how to tell the difference. And I didn't understand. And I would always say, I'm not playing in the corner. What are you talking? I was confused as a child. And then I didn't think it was my eyes, but I did definitely think I had some mental things going, some mental problems. The good thing is my mom was always into the paranormal. She always kind of understood it. So it was normalized on her side, that it was okay and it wasn't wrong. Now, my dad would still, very freaked out by the whole thing. He was raised, in an Irish Catholic home. There's a lot of the Catholic guilt. But I always thought maybe mental, but through the years, I've gotten psychiatric and psychological evaluations and all kinds of scans, and there's nothing there. I don't even have depression. I have generalized anxiety is my only diagnosis. So I don't know. I never thought it was my eyes, but I did for a long time think that I was mentally ill.
Oh, and speaking of butterfly people, if you want to talk about Mothman, Ashley's in the chat.
Hello, Ashley. How you doing?
Hi, Ashley. She knows a lot about Mothman. I mean, a lot.
Is that who you were telling me a couple weeks ago I should look?
Yes.
Absolutely is. Yep. That's the one.
Ashley, I know your work well.
Sorry, I just saw something here I didn't quite understand. Ashley, welcome. Ashley, welcome. And I did the video on the Mothman, and it's another one of those things where I know it's not angelic, but I don't necessarily know that it's evil. I don't know if it's a messenger, a harbinger, or a saver, or just I honestly, when it comes to Mothman, because of how diverse the encounters with and accounts of the Mothman are, I couldn't put my finger on it, because someone says they had a horrible experience. They were haunted by one. I didn't believe for a minute that was Mothman, but other people say it attacked their car. Other people say they just see it looming in the distance. I don't know. I don't know what to believe yet about it. Mark, see you later.
I think he just pops in, and if somebody sees him, it's because he wants them to see them. I don't think it's just coincidental.
Right. I mean, the Dark Watchers, people driving by. Slow motion, I appreciate you so much. You're so sweet. People driving up and down the coast, seeing these things in the mountains right before they disappear. I think that I don't know if it's that they're accidentally getting seen or if they just realize they're going to get seen and it doesn't matter. And if they realize they get seen, they just vanish off. You know, they make themselves invisible.
I don't know. From my experience, anything that's cryptid or paranormal, if you see it, it's because it wants you to see it. It's not just because of, it was accidental. It's because they wanted you to know they were there. So it's like, you know, here I am, look at me, and I'm out here. Bye. So that's what I think.
That makes sense with cryptids for sure. I put in my one book that I caught a shadow entity off guard. And I've had other people tell me that about shadow beings specifically, that I saw one creeping through my kitchen once, and it was coming kind of towards me. I was folding laundry, and I heard it before I saw it. And when I turned around to look, it kind of kept creeping, and then it looked up. Now, they don't have features, but you can kind of tell when you're being looked at. And it kind of it was like comically like tiptoeing almost. And when it noticed that I was staring directly at it, it started comically tiptoeing backwards and to try to like blend into the wall. Because it probably didn't understand that I would be able to see it where most people wouldn't. And I think that's how I caught it off guard. But I definitely don't think people are seeing, you know, Bigfoot or like Wendigos by accident. You know,
no, especially in a Wendigo's case. If a Wendigo lets you see it, because it wants you to see it before it gets you. It's like, hello, here I am, coming to get you now.
Somebody commented on this, and I wanted to ask you because I didn't really understand their comment. And I was going to look more into it. I actually screenshotted it, but I was saying if these are Wendigos and they're supposedly so evil, how come I've never come across an encounter where someone was attacked? And I went through hundreds of encounters to choose the ones I chose.
I think some of them aren't necessarily really Wendigo. It might be something like a mimic or something like that, taking the shape of a Wendigo. Because in the Algonquin and Cree, when they talk about Wendigo, once a Wendigo's targeted you, that's it. It's game over for you. It chose you, it's marked you, and it's going to torment you until it decides it's time to pick you off. So why they're not attacked, I think it's a mimic or a shapeshifter that's taken on the form of a Wendigo.
So a that makes sense. And I think I actually came to somewhat of that conclusion. Like if these were Wendigos that people thought they were seeing, it would have, I don't know if it would have attacked right there, but my thing was like, they never saw it again. And I thought that the Wendigo was like something that would turn you into a Wendigo at least sometimes. So why would there be no, you know, nighttime visit or coming to you? I don't know. It just struck me as so weird. And that's the thing. I feel like there's so much stuff out there that we're just learning about now that I think has been there always, you know, like the Glimmer Man.
You got to remember too, though, people confuse Wendigo with the pale crawlers. So they could be seeing a pale crawler, which isn't known to attack people, and saying, oh, it's a Wendigo, but that's not the case. It's like, no, Wendigo is so specific that, you know, you can't just say everything's a Wendigo.
And
I put up.
I was shocked to find out that, you know, Wendigos cannot be everywhere. So I'm also skeptical now I'll look in the area, you know, and it's not skeptical of the person seeing what they think they saw. It's simply a Wendigo. No, like couldn't be. Like I cannot see one here. So if I saw something, I would think, and that's what I'm covering in the next couple of weeks are mimics, which I feel like I've covered a lot, but I never called them mimics. I've covered things, you know, the staring entities or things that doppelgangers and things like that. But there's so much more coming to light now with this age of the internet and YouTube and all of these social media sites we can all share, Reddit. And then you have to weed out what's true and what isn't to the best of your ability, because you're not going to I'm not meeting all 100 people that encounters.
Another possibility is thought forms. You know, like I mentioned that before, the topo like effect that we have going on here. People could be thought forming the Wendigo, and that's why it doesn't attack, because it doesn't have the power of the Wendigo. It just looks like the Wendigo. You know, so
I never thought of that. I've talked about them too. I talked about Slender Man and just tulpas in general. And that actually makes a lot of sense. You know, you get something into your mind, and sometimes like you can call things to you. And if you don't call that thing to you, you call something to you that knows what you're calling out to. Does that make sense?
Right.
So,
absolutely. And if you're thinking about a certain subject, if you're thinking about a certain subject, that energy is going to take the form of that subject. you know, and you're going to start seeing Wendigo wherever you go. I'm surprised I haven't seen that, you know, and I think it's because I have the common sense to know they can't be everywhere, that I'm not going
You have the
outside
knowledge.
Wendigo. Yeah. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, New England. Yeah, man, that drives me nuts, dude.
Oh, it drives me wacko to go in and see these videos where, oh, that's a skinwalker. Oh, that's a Wendigo. And it's like, dude, do your research.
Yep. I sit there and I'm cracking my knuckles and I'm getting ready to, like, you know, go at the keyboard. I'm like, all right.
Yeah, like, come on. But you know, again, though, I didn't know that, but I'm glad to know it, because now I feel like I just have a better chance of being able to understand a little better some of the things that are going on around me. And if I do see something that I think is Wendigo, I know that it's not, so I can look deeper into its energy, or just research more and be like, what could that have been? Because I know that in the woods of northern New Jersey, there are no Wendigos. There was one thing I wanted to ask you. I mentioned it in the video, but I could not remember what you had said about it. People think they have antlers.
Right. They don't.
I know, but I don't remember why. I don't remember our conversation.
They use tree branches to hide them.
Yeah, they use tree branches, but there's two different reasons behind that, though, because Algernon Blackwood, he wrote a book called The Wendigo. And when you look on the cover, he drew a giant that had what looks like antlers, but they were branches. People misinterpreted that. And then the other reason is because they took Herne the Hunter from Celtic lore and they interbred it with the Algonquin and Cree lore. And that's where the stag-headed, antler-headed Wendigo came from.
So I would be so bold as to say that if somebody saw a Wendigo with antlers, they are not seeing a Wendigo. They're either thought forming it, or they're seeing something that knows what they think a Wendigo should look like.
You got it. Yep.
That's some evil stuff too.
Does anybody know the movie about the creature that's in the woods and these guys are hiking and they get lost or whatever and end up stumbling across a family that's worshiping this thing that looks like a giant Wendigo that has the antlers, and it hunts them until it leaves the forest? Which one is it?
Yeah, it's The Ritual. The Ritual.
Yeah, that's it. And that's a lot of people go, no, that's a Wendigo. And I go, no, that's a Scandinavian thing.
Yep, that was a Scandinavian one. That's definitely not the Wendigo.
Yes.
Yes,
well, I think that's how a lot of people too think that. We talked about this before, and there was kind of a divide with it, but a lot of people think like the Yeti is white.
Nope.
And it's not white, and people didn't believe me, and I'm like, no, I've never seen a Yeti, but from my research I understand that they're basically covered in snow. It's like the elements. And then somebody just said, I wanted to get to this really quick before we ended, that when it comes to the Mothman, so like you completely like made my day a few weeks ago when I was like, I keep coming across these Bigfoot encounters where they're being attacked, or they feel like it's something like they walked into a portal, but it's always with black fur. And you were like, yes, the black furred ones are actually the ones that are known to attack. So I'm like, okay, I put it together properly. Some people are saying, and Mark just said it, but he left, that there's good Mothman and bad Mothman.
I don't know about that.
Does that make sense? I don't know that makes very much sense to me. It's not like shadow beings where there are all these different types. There is a Mothman, and it always is doing the same thing.
Right. No, I think with Mothman, he's here. You know, he's just a visitor. It's one. I don't think there's multiples. I don't think there's a good or a bad. Yeah, I think he just shows up when he wants to, and then he disappears again. And, you know, I don't think he's evil, though. I really don't. And I don't think there's like two of them. I don't think there's good or bad. I really don't.
I don't get that impression with the Mothman either from all of, like, that's why I kept reiterating in the video I did about the Mothman. Like, I do not think what that couple went through when they ended up with that haunting in their home, that was not the Mothman. That was some kind of demonic being that knew that they were looking for an interaction with the Mothman and gave them kind of what they wanted. Not to mention a lot of demonic entities have the same look as the Mothman.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's a thought form. Again, that's a thought form in a way, because if you're going out looking for something and you stumble across something else, it could take on the shape of that. So, you know,
and they're, you know,
be careful.
You know, I heard somebody describe the other day, and I don't know if Ashley's heard this too, but this guy said the Mothman's like an observer and watcher. It comes from this other dimension and oversees like tragedy and stuff like that, or he's just observing the things. that he's not a good or evil entity. He's kind of a neutral.
Yeah, that's what I think. Yeah, he just kind of sits back and watches and go, well, this sucks, when something bad happens. But
but not stepping in. And I think that's important. Like when I think it's important for people to understand that, when I go into someone's house because they're having a haunting and they want to know what's in there, there's a lot of the time where I will see something giant and scary and just horrific looking that is so terrifying, but it's, a scared earthbound spirit that learned how to present itself that way, or it's an extraterrestrial presenting itself as a demon because they get scared and nervous too, and they don't want to be found out. They don't want to be looked into. So they will project themselves as something completely different. Guys, I'm going to end it. I've got a lot to do with the rest of my day. And I did literally nothing but scroll YouTube this morning because I was so aggravated. I did. I'm like, I'm going to write in a minute. No. So thank you all for coming out. If you guys have anything else, if not, I'll see you guys next week. If you guys are together tomorrow, I'm not sure. But
no,
Ryan,
I got a show with DA Roberts tomorrow. So
oh, nice. When? What time and where?
Tomorrow it's 7 p.m. my time, so it's about 8 p.m. your guys' time. But we're talking about Wendigo, Skinwalker, Wachuge, and Ravenmockers of all things. So look for DA Roberts Ex Machina. So I got the.
You want to put that in the chat, so we can look for it.
I don't have the link. Ghost, do you have that?
If you post it, I'll drop it in the comments.
Okay, great. Yeah, it's tomorrow night. It's going to be good. It's going to be really good. We're actually going to be talking about the differences between all 4 of those. So it's going to be a good show. It's going to be long.
That sounds awesome. Yes, I was just going to thank Ryan for being a part of our week now. It's definitely bringing a different experience than what Ghost Dragons and I had before. And I think that you bring a lot to the table, and I'm really grateful that you're here with us too. Blue Crossroads, what is up? Ashley Hill, thank you so much for coming in. If I knew, I would have prepared some questions. So
maybe
great
we can have her in next week
for popping in. Yeah. You guys in the chat are always welcome. And I always tell you guys too, you don't have to show your face if you're not comfortable with it. You can always come on. We love to have you and have your experiences and your thoughts and opinions,
We should do that. Have like a Q&A with people and have them come up and ask different questions and whatnot. That'd be really
I would love that. We've tried to do that so many times and nobody ever asks any questions. It's always out there, guys. Get your questions ready. You got a medium, you've got an observer, and you've got the cryptid guy. Like you can ask so much, and if we're
whatever
not
you want
prepared to talk about something else, then we'll be able to gladly answer your questions to the best of our ability. Slow motion, you got to let me know when that happens and where you're going. Guys, I'm going to end it. I've got yoga to do and Fortnite to play. So love you all, and I will see you all on Friday for Live Intuitive Oracle at 7:15 p.m. Eastern. And other than that, you guys know the rest of the schedule. Check out the description box, donate if you can. And as for you guys, I love you both tremendously. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and putting up with me. Bye, guys.
See you guys on the flip side.